Hi everyone. My name is Noah, and I work as a mannequin in a store. Thanks to it I became popular. And it happened by accident, or rather, because of my stupidity. But it did lead me to something very good. Keep watching, I'll share. I've got a great figure, I'm tall, I'm muscular, it's not natural, I worked on myself, I almost lived in a gym. And I worked out a lot. But, I was always wearing a mask. And it wasn't because of viruses or anything. I've been wearing it ever since my skin went bad. But my cheeks and my chin are all pimples, see? Creepy, right? These are photos of me literally a year ago. When I'm wearing a mask, everything is normal, people looked at me, girls tried to pick me up. And if any time you can talk to them while wearing a mask, citing viruses, what do you do when you go on dates together? I've had that kind of mess happen. I liked Lily so much. She fascinated me. She and I used to go to the same gym. And then she started paying attention and came on to me and asked me out to dinner. I went there in a suit like I was supposed to. She was in a beautiful light dress. We sat down to eat, and Lily ordered herself some pasta. I stared at the menu in horror and couldn't think of what I would choose so I could somehow eat through the mask. Apparently, I took too long looking at what Lily said. Noah? Huh. You don't have to be shy. I took the money with me. Order whatever you want. Oh no, it's not that, it's okay. I just don't know what to order. I'm allergic to a lot of foods and I read the ingredients. I didn't know what else to say, so I just said the first thing that popped into my head. Lily was visibly relaxed. I guess she thought I was some kind of alpha male. My problem was escalating. Order pasta. Pasta? It's good, it's allergen-free, and well, I think it's good for you, yeah. That's a great idea. Waiter, I'll have the same, thank you. They brought me the pasta. The whole 10 minutes of waiting I was fidgeting in my chair, and I could barely catch what Lily was telling me. I kept thinking, what would it take to eat through a mask? With a fork, picking up the noodles, I lifted the mask slightly from the bottom and popped the pasta into my mouth, but it was so long that I had to suck it in for another long 15 seconds. Then I got tired and decided to speed up, and with all my might, I curled my lips into a tube and the end of the noodles flew out of the plate and stained my entire mask. It was black and now it was dirty. The whole time Lily sat there looking at me. Silently, I looked up in her direction and saw her stunned at what had happened. Can I help you? Nope. I said with my mouth full. The mask got dirty. I swallowed quickly, didn't even chew. Then took a knife, and put a hole in the mask for my mouth, and started eating further. What were you saying there? Lily pulled out her purse, left her money, and left. Also silent. I freaked out, took off my mask and everyone started staring at my skin. What are you looking at? Yes, I have a problem. I have pimples. Is that disgusting? And then they escorted me out of the place. So that was the date. I was in despair for a long time. You cannot imagine how much money my parents spent on trips to the cosmetologist, procedures, all sorts of creams, peels, snails and so much more there. I even went to a surgeon. I wanted to cut everything off. And how much makeup I had at home. Not a single girl has as much makeup as I did. So I took a desperate step. I read in an advertisement about a super expensive tonic, as a cure for all my problems. But I was ashamed to ask my parents for money, so I decided to steal the product. I understand that this theft is like a crime, but I was desperate. I went into the store, and a consultant came up to me. I pointed to the right product and she said she would bring it to me. While she was bringing it, I stole a jar from the window and went towards the exit. Immediately the blinkers went off, the horns going off. But the salesgirl caught me by the hand. Stop, what are you doing? Do you want to go to the police? No, I'm sorry, I just. Take off your mask. No, not that. I said take it off. She took off my mask and saw me. Oh man, did you steal the cream for yourself? Yes. Sorry, I'm ashamed, I don't usually do this. I have to call the admin, yeah, okay. She left and called for the administrator. The girl came up to me, and I stood with my head down. Noah? I saw Lily in front of me. I felt doubly uncomfortable. Lily, what are you doing here? Working, aren't you? As you can see. So you're the one who took the cream? Yeah, for me. Let's go. She took me into another room and made me tell her everything, and she listened carefully, and then she asked, "Is that why you didn't take the mask off?" "Yeah." "Oh shit, why didn't you tell me before?" "I was scared. I thought you were crazy." "No, you didn't. By the way, here you go." I handed her the money for dinner that she left. "You don't have any money, you take it." "It's not that I don't. I don't want to ask my parents, and I'm still unemployed myself. I can't go out to work with a face like that. Everyone will be afraid. Sooner or later they'll ask me to take off my mask." "Yeah, it's kind of expensive, but you should have told me right away. I thought such bad things about you." "I couldn't. I was ashamed. And now?" "And now it's even worse." "Okay, I can help you." "How?" "Well, first of all, the cream won't help you. It's not for skin like yours. Secondly, I can get you some kind of treatment if you trust me. Third, I can get you a job." "Where?" "Here at the store. You could stand there like a mannequin and call customers. You look handsome, we'll put on a mask. You're good looking even with it on, you've got a good figure, girls will bite." I'm in. That's true. About 3 to 4,000 people a day came into the store. As soon as I invited the girls, they were immediately met by consultants and processed. At least some little thing, but they bought. Most asked for my phone number, name, or social media, but Lily politely replied that he had a girlfriend. This amused me, and I knew she was cute anyway. After a week, even the landlady herself came and thanked me for doing a good job. And on the weekend Lily invited me to her house. As promised, she prepared some jars and told me how to use them. According to her, they were not those perfumed products, but a pure product. It smelled and looked horrible, but I had to use them every day before I went to bed. Lily and I became very close. We saw each other every day at work. We went out to lunch together, and now I wasn't embarrassed by her. The store became popular and so did I. Girls started to take pictures with me and I even got my fan club. I was often asked questions about why I wore a mask, why I didn't take it off, why this and that. I smiled and said it was so they wouldn't find me out. The customers asked me to touch my pumped arms, one of them even kicked me in the ass once. I jumped up and down out of fright, but then Lily came out and reprimanded me. The rest was even more interesting. The cheeky guest said that she was a VIP client, which means she is entitled to a nice bonus. "I'd like this guy wrapped up, please." "Thank you for coming, but no. This guy works as a mannequin, but he's human. We can't wrap him up." And I said, "Wrap him up or your store will be closed tomorrow." "No, goodbye. Let's go, handsome." She took me under her arm and started to lead me away. Lily blushed and clutched at her hair. I was confused and stood there watching them fight. I decided to intervene. My shirt got ripped and my arms got scratched, and then that girl ripped the mask off my face. And everybody froze. So did I. They were filming me on their phones, and I already imagined the network discussing my shitty skin. And from the crowd there were voices like, "God, he's so handsome. He's even more handsome without the mask." Lily looked into my eyes and I saw surprise. I immediately pressed my face against the glass display case and peered into my skin. It was as if the pimples hadn't even existed. I smiled, and the girls squealed. They surrounded me and started taking pictures, shouting and smiling. The disheveled Lily walked toward the store. "Girls, you're all beautiful, but my heart is busy with someone else." "And who is she? Show me." "Here she comes." I pointed toward Lily. She turned around and smiled. Of course, we were both reprimanded and fined by our hostess for fighting, but we were still in high spirits. In the evening at dinner, I asked Lily what the miracle cure was, and she said it was just soap, crumbled and mixed with some medicine. That's how my girlfriend helped me. We went back to that restaurant, and I ordered the pasta again. This time I was eating without the mask.
Hi, my name is Reggie. Want to hear a story about how to make money? Well, then look here. Guys, do not forget to put likes, subscribe to the channel, and comment on my story. To begin with, please tell me, at what age did you first start earning money? How much and where? My beginning of the story is a bit sad, but that's what prompted me to pull myself together and start acting, so listen up. I was born into a full family. I have a mother and 3 sisters, and my father was there until he went out the door for bread. We haven't seen him since. Well, about everything by the Strand. As you have already understood, we are a large family. I am the oldest child in the family. My parents wanted to give birth to a girl for complete happiness. My mother could not get pregnant for a long time. The dream of a girl haunted me. My mother cried at night. I heard her praying that heaven would send her another child. Her age was no longer young, and yet she got pregnant. It was a great holiday for us. My father came home early from work when my mother told him the news. I was about 15 years old at the time. Everything was great, and then suddenly changed. When my mother went for the first ultrasound, what they were told shocked both of them. "You have triplets," the doctor said. My father could not believe it. My mother was crying, but these were tears of happiness. And when she gave birth, I remember running around the hospital looking for food for my mother. I couldn't wait to see my little sisters. The status of an older brother attracted me, and so 3 beautiful girls were born: Eileen, Leah, and Mia. They were a copy of their father. At first, Dad was beside himself with happiness, but after a week, he realized how hard children are given. In addition to the fact that he began to shirk from helping my mother, he also quietly dumped all the responsibilities of the house on me. I even learned how to cook, clean, wash, and iron. It was terribly hard for me. I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't have time to do any homework. My mother saw it. She was grateful, but it was still harder for her. And then it turned out that it was hard for my father. He could not stand it, and his words about the girls being the biggest reward disappeared somewhere. My father went out to get some bread and didn't come back. We realized this almost immediately when we looked at the table. There were 3 bags of bread. My mother was upset, and then desperate. I couldn't watch her suffer, so I started helping her with the girls. Sometimes he could even put them to sleep so that Mom could get some sleep. Did I think I'd quit too? Because that's not what real men do. In the end, the money began to run out and my mother was even more panicked. We were wondering how we should live, and I promised my mother that I would take care of her. After school, I also began to work as a waiter. In the summer, I washed cars, walked dogs, cleaned swimming pools and gardens at neighbors. In winter, I cleaned snow. In autumn and spring, yards from debris and leaves. I didn't get paid to say that a lot, but with a good economy, we have enough for bills, food, and diapers. My mother thanked me every day for everything, but how could I not? To be honest, the first couple of months were still normal, but then it became very difficult. I remember that I started exams at school, and because of frequent absences, I still had to take individual subjects. There was a complete blockage at school, and a lot of problems at work. I accidentally broke 23 plates in a cafe, spilled hot coffee on a visitor, and gave the wrong change. I was deprived of my salary for a whole week. I came home and found out that the girls were sick. I didn't have the money to buy medicine. I didn't even know how to get out of it now, because it was the end. My mother came to me all tearful. She felt sorry for me, but I wanted to stay strong in her eyes. I kissed her and went outside. I didn't know where to go or what to do, and I didn't want anything. I was desperate like my mom. When I crossed the road, I didn't pay attention to the traffic light. I was hit by a car. Oh no, not much. I got off with a couple of bruises because the speed was slow. The woman who came out of there in a panic began to walk around me. It turned out to be the owner of the institution where I worked. I met her at the hospital. Mrs. Viggins was very nice, unlike our receptionist. She called my mother and promised to bring me home, reassured her, explaining that nothing terrible had happened to me. My mother wanted to come, but with 3 children in her arms, it was difficult, so I asked her to stay at home. I told Mrs. Viggins about our situation, and she was impressed and even cried. I have long wanted to fire the administrator. I heard rumors that he steals the cash register, and also steals broken dishes on young waiters like you, and then in this way launders money for supposedly new plates, she said. It was only at that moment that I suddenly realized that I hadn't seen how many plates I had broken or whether it was me, because I was carrying an order when I heard the clatter of dishes behind me. Mrs. Viggins brought me home, left a tidy sum for my recovery and for the girls, and the very next day I came to work for the proceedings. She was right. It turns out that while no one was watching, she set up a camera where you can see how I turn away to carry the order, and at this moment the administrator pulls out a tray with shards and pushes it to the floor, and then pretends that it was me. He asked not to go to the police and return all the loot, but the owner did not forgive him and still called the police. She appointed me to take his place and promised me a promotion. I agreed to start work in a week to close the tales of my studies. Over time, everything improved. My mother couldn't express her gratitude, and I knew how embarrassed she was, but I did it from the heart, and I knew I was doing it right. In the end, I passed all the exams, not perfectly, but it will go. And then I came to the cafe. Mrs. Viggins was waiting for me, and I was glad of it. Almost immediately, I started a new position, began to receive even more money. So a few years passed, the girls grew up, and my mother was looking for a nanny to go to work herself. I was supposed to be going to college by then, and Mrs. Viggins offered me a great option. She promised to pay for half of my studies if I stayed to help her with her business. She had no children and no family, and she liked me, so I gladly agreed. Undoubtedly, everyone has hard times, but the main thing to remember is that all the best is always waiting ahead. What do you guys think?